All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this workshop of the Temple City Council for June 3rd, 2023. It's a little after 2:30. Let's just go ahead and dive right in. First, do we have any public comments today? Nothing? Something on top? Oh, okay. Then mark that. Okay, very good. So there being no public comments, move on to item number 2 for the work session. Item 1 under that is to discuss as may be needed any regular meeting agenda items for the meeting posted for today. It's my understanding that Councilmember Pilkington will need to pull item H. Is that right, Mike? Or just for voting purposes, right? All right. So we'll do that. Is there anything either staff or any council members that we need to discuss on the agenda today? On the average, we've had some short meetings. This one should be short. We'll see. Sorry, I shouldn't even speak that into reality. Sorry about that. It is. Hey, you and Grant come on and got a hot mess going on. All right. Staff, is there anything on the agenda anywhere to discuss? No? Very good. Then we'll move on to the second item, which is to receive a presentation from Blakely and Company regarding the special event strategic plan. There you are.
Good afternoon. How's everyone? So I am not Kyle Blakely. My name is Erin Smith. This is Kyle Blakely. So in front of you, you have the special events strategic plan. About a year ago, we entered into a contract with council approval to begin this special event strategic plan process, and we chose Blakely Company out of Colorado to help us with that. So we've been working diligently with Kyle over the last year. I have taken the project lead on this, but with me, I've had a lot of help. Kevin Beavers and his team, Holly Lieferman is our special events senior coordinator. In addition to that, Chuck Graham and Mike Mayfield is helping us with parks, and then Heather Bates, our communications and marketing director, in addition to Teresa Anderson, our destination marketing director, have really been the main team that's been working on this along with Kyle and I. And so we wanted to really take a look at special events and ways that we can provide really great events for not only our community, but also attract visitors to Temple. So I'm now going to hand this over to Kyle, who will give us his presentation.
Thank you very much. Hi, nice to be here today. I will try not to ruin your idea of your short meeting plan. So I shouldn't be too long or whatever, but as Erin said, I've been working on the project now for several months with the team, and it's been great. This has been really a lot of fun for me to get to learn the community a little better and kind of understand the goals and objectives and everything for the special events program. So this has been fun. I'm going to walk through some of the highlights. We're not going to hit everything in the plan, every section in the plan today. You'll be able to read some of those, but I really want to kind of focus on some of the key recommendations after a little bit of background about what the study involved. So the purpose of the study was for the City of Temple is to assess the city's event planning program and identify events that will best serve residents and attract visitors to Temple. So Erin kind of touched on that. One aspect of this being, is there an opportunity for destination events that might also bring economic impact into the community, fill hotel rooms, and support the community that way, in addition to events for residents and folks in kind of the metro area and central Texas. So one of the things that we looked at, and again, there's the plan, goals and objectives, and the goals and objectives of the program and the values of the program that you'll see in that document also. But one of the things that in looking at this, and again, this is probably not something, I'm not telling you something you don't know, but you look at the opportunity for the future of the special events program here in Temple, and there's a lot of things that I kind of listed here under a bright future. One is the city's commitment. I work with a lot of cities in my job, and I find very few of them who have the kind of commitment to special events that you guys do. And so to me, that's just a great asset for this community, for the people who live here, and for your tourism and visitor program. The experienced staff, the way you build the teams that are involved, both departments that are, well, multiple departments that are involved in this. The staff's very experienced, so that's a big advantage. Obviously, the great facilities. I mean, you really do have great facilities here in the community, and with the festival grounds coming online, it's just getting even better. And then the other thing is the Texas Triangle. And I've, as I've explained to people I know in Colorado that I work with there, whatever, about this project, I'm like, you don't understand. There's 20 million people that live within a 2-hour drive of Temple. That's 6% of the United States population. That's amazing, especially when you start looking at destination events and the ability to attract people here for various things. So we had a pretty robust stakeholder and community engagement process. Obviously, started with the project team, Erin and her team. I did one-on-one interviews with everybody at the very beginning. We had a project kickoff meeting to kind of go a little bit more in depth into the scope of work and everything. And then I came a few months ago and we did a 1.5-day workshop around all of the issues in the plan that you see. When I was here on one of my visits, I also did focus groups with special event stakeholders here in the community. Probably about 25 or 30 folks came into those focus groups, talking about their experience with the city, because these are people who put on events themselves. So they're working through the process with the city on their events. And then Temple residents and visitors, I did focus groups with them, and then also a community survey. And the focus groups and the survey here, the pool of individuals that we recruited for those were people who had attended special events here in the city before and had provided their phone number or email address at one point in time through that process. So we made sure we got people who were experienced and had attended one or more events in the previous 2 or 3 years. So from all of that work that we did, all of the research and all the planning with the project team and everything, we identified 7 strategic initiatives for the plan. And one is an iconic event, which was spelled out very clearly in the RFP process that was one of the major goals of this strategic plan. The overall event calendar, event planning and evaluation process, the outdoor event application process, the organizational structure within the special events department, the special events webpage, and then the special events, a special events economic impact. So those were the 7 things we identified, and I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of them right now. So for the iconic event, again, this was something that we talked about as a team and talked about a variety of options in all of the focus groups with the stakeholders and with the community members and in the survey. So we provided a lot of options. The idea that kind of rose to the top of that was to do a music festival. And so as we got in a little bit deeper, we started looking at a name for the event and settled on the name the Rail Yard Music Fest, with the first event being planned for October 2024. So to give enough lead time, it was planned to be a fall event, so that gives us a 1.5 years to kind of get ready for that. So some of the details here, then right now for the first year, it's recommended to be a 1-day event with at some point in the future moving to a weekend music festival, 2 days. So it would be, the idea would be to contract with a producer or promoter to do the broad management of it because of the size of the event and the experience of some of the producers and promoters out there with events like this. It's important to have that expertise on the team. And also because an event this size would probably might be difficult for the internal team to do that along with everything else that they do. So this way they can help kind of manage the contractor, but the contractor then would provide most of the work for the event. So it's a country music festival. And again, that came out of the community survey. Once they talked about wanting a music festival, we asked what kind, and country music was by far and away the biggest choice for the event. It would be at the festival grounds, and it would also, from a hospitality standpoint, would also include regional breweries and food vendors, and some examples of who the headliner might be. Somebody, I don't know how many of you are familiar or fans of country music. My daughter helped me with a lot of these. So that's, but like Luke Combs, Chris Stapleton, Turnpike Troubadours, Shane Smith and the Saints, those types of groups. And then the other acts would be filled out. We kind of had 3 tiers that we kind of talked about was national headliner, a level of folks who are maybe more regionally known, or possibly even like participants on reality TV shows like The Voice or American Idol. Some of those performers tour after those shows are over. So somebody like that. And then also some local and Central Texas bands too that have strong local followings, so that we have a nice mix of acts in the event. So the second item on the of the initiatives is the event calendar. And this is looking at it, all of the events that the city produces. And one of the things that kind of came out of the discussion and the research again, and we kind of kept coming back to this a lot, is this idea of quality over quantity. Because as we asked people in the survey how they like the current events, the vast majority of your current events scored very high in terms of people's level of enjoyment, coming back year after year. So it was obvious to us that it wasn't a situation of overhauling the event calendar, that it was kind of fine tuning it. And again, focusing on quality over quantity with some of the other recommendations. So we'll talk a little bit, you'll see about event tiers. We've classified them as tier 1, 2, and 3 by size. So the larger events, including the iconic event, would be tier 1, and then we have tier 2 and tier 3 from there. There is a recommendation that some of the events that the city has managed in the past would make sense to hand those events off to somebody else. Might be better suited to manage some of those. And then we do even recommend the discontinuation of 2 or 3 events as well. Just again, looking at it from a quality over quantity standpoint, that's kind of how we settled on it. So the tiers here, and I included the iconic event, but really the way we looked at the tiers was by the target audience. So you have the iconic event, and again, that's regional, Texas Triangle, Central Texas, metro area, and local, kind of those 4 levels of audiences. Tier 1 then would be events that are targeted toward Central Texas, the metro area, and local. Tier 2, the metro area and local, and then tier 3, local Temple residents. That's how we broke that down. So this is kind of then how each one of those tiers settled after we got through looking at everything. And the way this works is in each tier, each one of these events, except for a couple of instances in tier 3, are by season. So the Christmas festival obviously is in the winter, the air show being in the spring, 4th of July in the summer, and Rail Yard would be in the fall. And the tier 2 events shake out the same way, one each season. And then tier 3, obviously down at the yard, has about 5 different events that are part of it, that are spread out through the year, but they're also kind of targeted by season. So the tier 1 events, the Christmas festival is another one that is planned for pretty significant expansion. So really the goal is over the next 4 to 5 years for the holiday season to be like a 5 or 6 week celebration starting the day after Thanksgiving and going through Christmas, possibly even New Year's in the future. But to really make it a broader, just kind of more spectacular seasonal celebration. And we talked about this too. This could also be something that becomes iconic for the community of Temple within the region in terms of looking at this and the things that would be added over the next 4 or 5 years. And obviously then at that point, we'd have the ability to become a destination event during the holiday season, which again, is probably, and the guess is one of the slower times of year for visitors from out of town. So it can help fill in some of that off-season stuff. So this gives you an idea then of what would be added each year. So this is the existing part of the schedule: the tree lighting, Santa at the Depot, the Christmas parade, and then the holiday market, which is an SBC event that the city helps promote. And then starting next year, moving the tree lighting to the Santa Fe Plaza, adding a Christmas movie at the Santa Fe Plaza with other activities for kids. And then in 2025, adding an ice rink, a music component to the event, and then community light displays. In 2026, having the city do a holiday market in the new building that's being renovated for that purpose or can be used for that purpose. Maybe adding a candlelight walk along the market trail down to the festival grounds, projection mapping on the railroad building, and then in 27, adding a snow attraction. So there isn't anything here that's replacing anything else. This is all being added on and layered on so that by the time you get to 2027, that 5 or 6 week period would have all of these things going at that time. So a pretty filled out schedule for those 5 or 6 weeks. And again, the opportunity to be something very iconic for the community. Another one of the tier 1 events is what we're proposing is for the air show to be one of the tier 1 events. This year, the air show was 1 day. What we've talked about in the plan is in the future is taking that back out to 2 days with the ability to possibly draw 16 to 20,000 visitors over 2 days. And again, very much the potential to be a destination event in the spring. So the special events team would take over the coordination of the event, working with Sean and his team at the airport so that it does become a city managed event. But those departments, the airport and the special events team working collaboratively on that, and obviously marketing being involved to promote the event too. So we also feel like this is kind of the perfect event to connect with and honor the large military population in this region. Air shows are great for that. I think Sean already has strong participation.
I'm sorry.
Sean already has strong participation from military in the region. So we're looking at, the possibility of how do we make that maybe even a little bit of a stronger connection, maybe with some kind of a recognition event or something like that. But that again, when you start to look at the different target audiences in the region, finding a major event like this that can kind of connect with that community a little deeper should make it, I would think, a pretty strong event. And then the last of the tier 1 events is the 4th of July celebration, the one for the summer. The events from about 6 to 9 p.m. on that evening, vendors, live music, and fireworks. And then the goal obviously would be to continue to have a title sponsor if that HEB has done that in recent years. So great if that continues. But the 4th of July celebration probably is the one that has the least outline changes in here. It's pretty much the same as it has been, or as it's going to be this year, here in a few weeks. Then one of the tier 2 events that I wanted to talk about is Petals and Pints, because this is kind of the idea is kind of a reimagined Bloomin' Temple festival. So Bloomin' Temple's in the spring, has been in the spring. It's varied from year to year. Obviously, COVID impacted that a lot in different ways. But the recommendation in the plan is to kind of reimagine Bloomin' as a little bit smaller event, still in the spring, move it up to like the last Saturday in March, continue to try and promote it as Temple as the wildflower capital of Texas, making that probably a little more well-known out in the community. A family event with local music, games and crafts, and popular local breweries. So some elements similar to the current Bloomin', but probably on a smaller scale. And that would be one of the tier 2 events. The next item is event planning and evaluation. And kind of how this started was a discussion of wanting to make sure that we have a more uniform process for evaluating events after they happen, right after they happen, getting feedback from people who attended, and being able to then use that information to help plan and refine the events going forward. And again, that goes back to the idea of quality over quantity, is using that feedback to update the events, make them stronger, make them better each year, and just continue to kind of elevate the quality of the events. So in the planning process, we've outlined a plan template, again, to kind of streamline the process, having set timeframes for developing plans for events leading up to the actual day of the event, and having strong key performance indicators so that we're really doing a good job of evaluating and measuring the success of each event. Then in the evaluation process, it would include a post-event survey, which we've kind of outlined a template for that. Some of the questions would be modified based on a particular event. Taking those results into the team's after-action review of the event, and then have that feed right into the planning for the following year. So it is kind of an ongoing cyclical process with each event. This is really about making it a little more consistent and streamlined so it's more efficient from a time standpoint. The outdoor event application process, this is something I think the special events team knew there were some issues with this process when we started. That was confirmed for me in the interviews with the stakeholders, the special event stakeholders in the community who worked through that process, that there were improvements that they'd like to see. So that process is actually kind of started, but it will involve having an internal task force to kind of look at the process overall, developing new guidelines and permit definitions and updating the fee schedule and making sure that the application is available online for those folks that want to do it. Right now, it's a hand filled out, making it online, making it easier, again, making it more time efficient for everybody. Developing an event support policy for how the city supports events that the city is not producing, but having a policy developed around that. So when a request comes in for, hey, do you want to sponsor this event as the city, or could you do, free this or free that? But having a policy around that about how the city might support those events, how those decisions are made so that it's uniform and people know what to expect when they come to the city and ask for that. And then a training session with the community, probably a lot of those same folks that I did focus groups with and a few more, but have them come in and walk through the process with them the first time so they understand all the changes that have been made and how the process goes from there. Organizational structure. So I talked a little bit earlier about contracted support for the iconic event. And so again, that's part of this element as well in looking at if we're changing the event's calendar, again, adding the iconic event, handing off some other events, discontinuing some events, but looking at it as a whole, what does that mean for the structure of the department? Again, to make sure that they have the capacity to produce the events that are on the calendar and do it really well. And so you'll notice Real quick, I'm kind of jumping around, but one, the special events administrative assistant, for example, adding that position, because previously when we were talking about the outdoor event application process, there's so many of those now that that's become almost a full-time position. So adding that administrative position, they would be responsible for processing those event applications, which frees up the other team members that you see to actually spend their time producing the events and coordinating those, which is what they do best. And so then also having a special events manager over this department instead of a senior coordinator, having that be a manager level position with 3 coordinators under them to manage everything. And obviously working with them or leaving it up to them to how they're going to divide up things. But you kind of have, the idea that maybe the manager might be the person that's working directly with the producer promoter on the iconic event. Each one of the coordinators is assigned one of the other tier 1 events, that kind of thing, in terms of helping, again, to make the whole process more efficient. Then the other thing we talked about, possibly some of the events that we hand off might be some of those that are downtown events, and finding an organization that might be willing to take that on and manage those as well. And then lastly, one of the things that we talked about in here is sponsorships. So right now, the special events team kind of leads their effort for developing sponsorships for their events. Obviously, Sean worked on the sponsorships for the air show. And you run into some situations where, because it's kind of divided up, people might be talking to the same people, asking for money. And so what we've talked about in this process is separating out sponsorships and calling it sponsorships and fundraising, and moving it into the city, not exactly identified the specific department yet, but having a person that oversees sponsorships and fundraising for the whole city, because there's needs beyond special events as well. But that way, packages can be developed. I mean, for example, if HEB is sponsoring the 4th of July festival, maybe there's a tier 1 or 2 tier event that they might want to sponsor as well, but you can pull a package together and go to them. Or again, just for any of the other events, but just to make sure that people aren't, wires aren't getting crossed as far as asking different organizations or companies for sponsorships, and trying to make it, again, more efficient and stronger. And one of the major objectives is to increase that level of sponsorship money significantly starting next year, hopefully by doing this in the process. And then the special events webpage. This is also, again, with the added emphasis on special events and the idea again of quality, we just want to make sure that the webpage is as strong of a tool as possible for people who are going to get information about events, making sure they can register online, buy tickets online, which also helps us gather better information for planning purposes in the future, for remarketing efforts in the future to folks who've been to an event in the past, but really just working hard to make the webpage, the special events webpage, just a really, really valuable tool for people who want to come to the events. And then the last thing is an economic impact analysis. So again, putting this much emphasis on special events and wanting some of those events to be destination events, it probably makes a lot of sense to right now start to develop some benchmarks of the economic impact of those events on the community, and then to be able to measure that going forward to see if that's getting stronger each year as some of the new events like the iconic event comes online. Some of these other events are, elevated a little bit to be possibly more destination events. This will help us identify if we're making progress with those efforts. But again, it can provide really good insights. It helps to determine the benefits. It can also inform the decisions on resource allocation, all of those things. So just again, kind of that last step in this process to be able to fully evaluate the strength of these events overall and what they mean for the community economically. And that's it. That's my last slide. So with that, I will open it up for any questions.
Typically, what's the responsibility of a sponsor?
In terms of the responsibility to them or their personal responsibility?
Their responsibility, like when HEB sponsors, whatever event they sponsor, or in the past when Scott and White has sponsored movies in the park and things like that. What do they pay a fee? Are they giving water? What all are they doing?
Typically, it's a monetary contribution for helps with the production of that event. But and again, I don't know the specifics of some of their contracts, but it can vary. I mean, sometimes depending on the organization or the company, they might provide some kind of product support or giveaways or something like that. And additionally, they might participate in the marketing of the event through some of their own marketing budget and marketing channels. It mostly just depends on what that agreement or contract looks like with them as the sponsor of the event.
Kevin, can you shed some light on some specifics?
I'm trying to think specific. I know he nailed it on the head. Everybody's different. For some of the sponsors, Bloomin, for example, they gave us cash, but they also brought their vehicles down on site. So that was some advertisement for them. HEB in the past has, they give you cash contribution. Then they've had a tent set up to give giveaways or whatever product they have. So, but it's really tailored when in the past, like he said, Holly has been the one that has been driving a lot of our sponsorship for these events. So it's really, she sits down with them and they kind of tailor a package that, it benefits us, but it also benefits the customer. And that looks different for each one almost.
Are there some benchmarks out there that if the city thinks that we're going to have 16,000 visitors for this iconic music festival, is there a baseline that says, okay, 16,000 visitors should equal this type of monetary value from a sponsorship? Or are we just guessing?
No, I don't have any of those formulas off the top of my head, but yes, there are things like that. And for the iconic event, pulling in a producer and a promoter who does music festivals, they will have an even deeper knowledge of that. And they also help attract sponsors for an event like that. So that'll be more of a partnership in terms of talking to sponsors. They'll pull in more national sponsors, and then the team with the city would identify more of the local and regional sponsors.
What are we doing now, though? Do you know, Kevin?
I think it's, you mean in terms of have the reach?
Yeah, I mean, how are we determining those sponsorship levels and what those may cost?
I don't think we've had a really good system in place historically, which is part of the reason that we want to have this systematic approach and having that all be under one roof, because there's been no standardization in the past, and it's largely dependent, I think, on what the company is willing to give versus us setting up the parameters that we're looking for.
I think some of the goals are based on the hard cost of producing an event, knowing kind of what the city might spend on an event. That helps identify some of the targets. But again, I'm not sure that how formalized it is. Any other questions?
I'm sorry to see the library not drawn in. We're putting so much effort on revitalizing downtown and revitalizing the library. I wonder if there'd be some way to draw it into the Christmas events.
I would think that would probably making it part of that, pulling it into that holiday season. I think absolutely. I think you could do that.
I certainly don't have an idea what to do.
Yeah, I can't think of what it is right now, but we talked about doing a Christmas movie at the Railroad Museum. Maybe there's some kind of a Christmas story series or something that you could do at the library, reading series or something like that. That might be kind of fun, but yeah, I think if put the team on it and probably come up with some really good ideas.
The library had just coincidentally an unbelievably splashy event last Saturday. I don't know how many kids were there. Aaron and I were talking about it earlier. And if there were 500 kids, we would not be surprised.
I think there was over 800 is what Natalie told me earlier.
Wow,
Wow.
They ran
That's
out of
great.
snow
what
cones.
was the event?
Kick off the summer reading program.
Right.
I think she was expecting around 350 or so. They ran out of snow cones in second, so it was
Really
significantly
extraordinary. I was there by accident trying to get a book.
wrong time.
Kids in every corner of both floors with finger painting and face painting and little games, and they were having a wonderful time. And there were kids asking for library cards. There were kids going through the stacks trying to find something they wanted to read. It was just really inspiring. But somehow we need to do
Yeah.
Christmas there too.
I think that that's a great idea, and I think as, you know, the special events team focuses on maybe the core event, that the other departments, including recreation and library and other departments that provide services to the community can help kind of reinforce the theme even, you know, in terms of the, you know, if it's holly jolly Christmas season, then there can be holly jolly stuff happening at the library, or even things you wouldn't, you know, think of, like bringing in some recycling program that's more focused on a theme around, and we've had some conversations about the need to make sure that we're amplifying the events of each department. So if, you know, if the libraries or if the museum is doing a program on, you know, bugs, that the library has a program that helps support that and kind of creates a more broader educational opportunity around that. So I think that's a good point to pull that into special events as well.
Yeah, it'd be fun. If they're doing a summer reading program, you could do a shortened version of it over the Christmas break for kids or something like that.
And they do.
That's great.
And
Yeah,
we do.
that'd be wonderful.
So this may be too specific, but I was curious if our tier one event is in October. October is usually pretty smashed with other regional events, like ACL in Austin is a 2-week event, and then you've got Halloween is one weekend. Typically, how do you
So,
coordinate that?
and as we talked about, in fact, in the document, it might say late September or early October. So yeah, there would still be some fine tuning of the date around those things.
Okay.
But again, I mean, one of the things that I started thinking about that might be kind of interesting, obviously ACL's huge, but having it like right before that, almost as like a warm up or something like that.
Yeah.
Some of the acts that are at ACL, it might be easier to get those acts to come here as well. You've got a great opportunity for people that don't want to deal with that kind of a crowd necessarily. To have a smaller event, more intimate, and theirs is beyond country music. So this being country focused, it could kind of be that, really that launch to the fall festival season or something.
Yeah.
During the conversations, did anything ever come up that maybe, the thought was, you know, if we had this facility, if we had an additional facility, we could do this, that would be impactful. Is there any facility, anything like that we're missing? If we added something small, we could push an event
No,
higher?
actually, and that was part of the reason why I had the facilities as being such a huge part of the bright future. You know, between the convention, the conference center, the festival grounds, you know, you've got the plaza around the Railroad Museum, you've got Bend to the River, although I know some of that might be tweaked in the future, whatever. You've got the amazing sports complex out there. Really, from that standpoint, that you've kind of got the bases covered in terms of the types of facilities you need to do the events that you have. And yeah, that's why I really, for a city of your size, you have great event facilities.
Good to hear.
Aaron, was anybody from the Temple Symphony involved?
I can't remember.
No, so what we did is that Kyle, so he met with us and did our stakeholder meetings, staff wise, but then he also, we have a list of everyone who, has attended, or at least contact information of people that have attended City of Temple events. And so he contacted them, at random. There was a huge list. And we asked them to join in on focus groups. So it was, those focus groups were, people that just around the area that had picked at random. So I don't know if we had a,
I could go back and look at the list.
yeah.
Be nice to try to pull that in some way.
Yeah, Brian,
Pardon?
Brian wrote up there,
What? What did,
playing off of ACL because a lot of the acts come in for warm up.
yes, they do.
That's great.
And we have people in this community who are very involved with ACF. That could perhaps help in some way.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, next item is to receive departmental updates from communications and marketing and fire. Good space. Then we're better.
All right, how are y'all doing? I'm so excited to present it to you guys because I feel like it's been a while. I don't remember how long it's been, but I'm excited. So what I'm gonna go through is some accomplishments and highlights of our department over the last quarter or so. And then I'll go into some plans that we have in the next quarter. And then I have just a couple of slides of some things I wanted to also let y'all know about. So for the highlights and accomplishments of the communications and marketing department, I wanted to first talk about Ambry Dunn. Ambry is a Templeonian. She, I think, was born and raised in Temple, went to Temple High, but she is our new Temple talent marketing specialist. And her primary job, if y'all remember, it was a budget request just recently to have this position in our city. And so her primary duties are to implement the employer brand, which basically what that means is to just tell our story as an employer. So we want people to know what it's like to work for the city of Temple, why they should work for the city of Temple. But also she works with the departments and helps to identify their needs as far as recruiting and hiring. Maybe they're having a difficult time filling a position and she can work with people operations to try and assist with those. She's also met with most of our departments to introduce herself. I think she started almost 2 months ago. And so she's met with almost every department. She has met with several community partners, the ISDs, the Baylor Scott and White, Temple College, UMHB, Fort Cavazos, lots more. And we hope to continue to build those partnerships there as well. Part of her job duties is to not only attend job fairs, there's a few on the list, but also to host our own city job fairs. She attended one recently that the Workforce Center put on for high school and college students to try and get summer hiring applicants. And then she also attended in May and then a couple weeks in June, the mini and mega Fort Cavazos job fairs for their transitioning soldiers. She's also going to be attending here in the next month or two, I think. I'm not sure when it is, but Fort Cavazos is having a spouse fair for the military spouses, and she'll go there to promote our city jobs to that demographic as well. And then we hope to have our first city hiring event in late August. And so we're going to start working with departments here pretty soon to figure out who needs help filling positions, who wants to attend, what do they need for that event, and things like that. So that's really, really exciting. We'll hope to have probably 2 of those a year plus a big summer hiring event. And then also part of Ambry's job duties are internal communications. It is a kind of a gap that we've had, but with Ambry coming on and not only communicating externally to potential talent, also communicating internally to our existing employees. So we're going to start the employee newsletter back up, which we're really excited about. We haven't done one in several years. And so the first issue is supposed to come out in the middle of June.
And then she's just gonna work on better telling our story, like I said earlier, to get more applicants here to the city of Temple on
She's a
social.
really personable young lady.
Do you know Embry?
I do.
She's amazing. She's just
really-
hit the ground running and is like, give me more, give me more. So, yeah,
I'm so pleased she's working.
yes, she's great. So the next thing, the next few slides actually are some branding projects that I wanted to talk to you guys about. The first one is for the FBO, Temple Executive Air Center. We completed this branding project, and the idea based on a marketing strategy that the city did with a consultant was to really make the brand separate from the city. So to be branded differently than the city of Temple, to have a professional and modern look. So I think we did a really great job with that. We are going to be doing the grand opening for the FBO probably sometime beginning or mid-September is kind of what we're thinking right now. And then we are working with Sean and his team to develop content for the website, the new FBO website. We are contracting that out to a vendor, but we are working with the vendor, Communications and Marketing, and Sean on the layout and the functionality and kind of how that site is going to go. So really excited about that, and it'll be live before the grand opening.
When is the grand opening?
It's not scheduled yet,
Okay.
but we're
Ballpark.
thinking definitely after Labor Day.
Oh, okay.
The next thing that we worked on was new branding for the John Miller Airport. This was really exciting, and what I like to say about this is Ari, our designer, did some research before she started this project and looked at other municipal and regional airports to kind of see, just to get some inspiration. And this one, hands down, is just so much better. I'm just gonna say it. But it's professional, it's corporate, it's everything that it needs to be. And I think Sean and his team are already using this, but we'll kind of launch it when we do the new FBO launch, and it'll kind of all be a part of that. So really excited. I'm really proud of this logo, this brand. And it actually, I think, has won 2 awards so far. 1 for sure. So Temple Revitalization Corporation is another branding project we did. And then we worked with our website developer and Nicole and Aaron and CMO to develop the website. Heart to Home Adoption Center, Animal Adoption Center is one that I'm really, really excited about. Me and my team are meeting with PD and Animal Services to discuss this one. This is another grand opening. Shout out, Chief. That we're getting ready to do probably around the same time as FBO. Hopefully they can at least be a couple weeks apart. But this, when we first started this branding project, we had a whole kickoff meeting with my team, PD, and Animal Services, and we all agree, and we had some Animal Services advisory board members in the meeting as well. And we just talked about, we all agreed that it needed to be fun and colorful and inviting, just like the new facility will. And so we're really, really excited. Hope to do something similar to what we did for the library as far as their brand launch party. And I think that brand party that we did when they got their new look really reinvigorated that facility, and I think brought a lot of new people. And so I'm really excited to see what this will do for the facility and for our city. We also, within the last quarter, have done a few community engagement events. We hope to do more as the PR team gets a little more staffed up. We did the 2nd annual, great photo.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The 2nd annual Black History Month recognition event. And then we did Reverend Roscoe Harrison Jr. Way, the street unveiling ceremony. And then the groundbreaking for the Animal Adoption Center, for the construction there. So we were happy and honored to participate in all of those. I wanted to just shout out really quick Bloom & Temple and the air show. My team provided a lot of support, as well as almost every other department for both of these events. But we did the branding for both of them, any promotion or marketing and advertising plans or tactics, we implemented those. And then we were even support on the day of. So I'm really proud of my team and the collaboration that went into both of these events as well. The citizen feedback form is a new online form that we have. This image is a picture of what is placed in city facilities. So there is a QR code. Some facilities have a tent card, like on the check-in desks. Some facilities have a cling, like a window cling. But we've made it readily available at all facilities, where it's the public-facing facilities where citizens can scan this QR code. We also have paper versions if they, aren't able to use their phone or don't have means for that. It's where they can provide feedback on paper. But basically, they scan the QR code and they're taken to an online form where they can provide comments or compliments or suggestions for something or any concerns that they might have. And so this has been a really great tool for us. I think it's still pretty new.
Have you received anything yet?
Yes.
Much?
Mhm.
Anything
I think they come to city manager's office. I think Nicole and Christina maybe get them. But I think people are using it. We're also using it for the mobility master plan. We're sending people to that as well. So it's been it's doing a few different things for us, but people are definitely using it, I'm being told.
Good.
So we did internal media training for city staff. Department heads in each department identified who they thought needed to attend this training. It was held on March 23rd. Noelle led it, and we also had Hillary Shine kind of work with us on the PowerPoints, and she did a couple exercises with us as well. So that went well. I do hope to do this training for city staff, just so they, new employees coming in and whatnot can stay current on media policies and different things for our department they can be aware of, probably at least once a year. So for awards so far, I would say since March, probably communications and marketing award season really started, the beginning of spring. And so since March, we have applied for almost 30 awards with different associations. And we know so far that we have placed in 6. For the NAGC, the first one, National Association of Government Communicators, we won for branding of the airport logo. And then the summer reading guide, which is amazing. Last year, it's amazing this year. Our designer does a really great job with the summer reading program. Then we won for
That's why there were 800 kids last year.
hopefully that's helping.
Yes.
Texas State Travel, we won for our Temple ticket, which I have a slide on. It's a digital publication that our destination marketing team puts out. They write all the content for it. And then lastly is Tamio, which is, as a municipal communicator, the biggest conference that I go to. And we won 3 awards. It's actually next week I'll be going to that, so I get to find out where we placed for those awards. But we placed again for summer reading guide, the Temple ticket, and then we placed for issue specific website. So they have a category for like city website, and then they have another category for issue specific. So it's basically every other website except for cities. And I have another slide on the Discover Temple redesign for that site, but we placed in that too. So that's really exciting. And I hope as we go on through the summer, we find out that we won even more awards. So speaking of the Discover Temple website, this is a screenshot of it. I would say about 2 years ago, we started the redesign process for this website, and it launched and went live in March of 2022. So since March of 2022, we've seen a 58% increase in traffic to that website, which is pretty stellar. But even more stellar is that we have seen a 1,300% increase in requests for visitor information. So people who are visiting discovertemple.com and thinking about visiting Temple and they're requesting information on Temple, that's seen a 1,300% increase with our new site. So very excited for this site. It's pretty amazing. We've also updated the visitor fulfillment. We've updated the content. We try and go through there at least once a year and make sure everything is current. And then the top 3 are brochures. The bottom ones are booklets, I think. And then the top 3 are brochures, but that's a kind of a new collection that we recently created. They're a little bit cheaper to print, a little less expensive. And they're really good to give like sports teams who come in for sports tournaments or different meeting groups. We share some of that with the chamber if they request collateral from the city to give their members and whatnot. And so we're really proud of those pieces. Those have won awards as well previously. So this is a spread from the Temple ticket. basically what the Temple Ticket is, it's like I said, it's a digital magazine, written completely 100% by a staff member on our destination marketing team. She's extremely talented. Her name is Courtney. But the effort is led by Teresa, our destination marketing manager. And essentially we publish it every quarter, and it generally goes along with the season. So this most recent one is about everything to do in Temple for the summertime. And then there's, a fall one. It's like pumpkins and lattes and all the fall things. And then there's a Christmas one about all the fun Christmas things to do. So it's been really, really popular since we started doing this. I think this is only we've done less than a handful of issues, I feel like, maybe 3 or 4. But it's been very, very popular and received really well. So All Aboard Temple is a campaign that we started. Bryn had the idea of working with Amtrak to promote train travel to Temple. And so we've done 2 things to help with this effort. And one of them is we're continuing to contact various Amtrak stations in Texas. So far, we have worked with McGregor, San Antonio, and Dallas, I believe. And we have I don't remember the specs, but a pretty good sized poster in each of those stations with the big QR code to promote travel to Temple and to really build an awareness around traveling to Temple. And then when they scan the QR code, they're taken to the landing page for All Aboard Temple, which talks about planning your perfect visit to Temple, come and travel. And then there's also a couple links for different itineraries. So if you want to visit Temple for half a day, if you want to come for an overnight stay, these are the different types of things that you could do. And then there's like traveling to Temple with your pets or traveling to Temple with children. So there's also kind of different market segments as well, different links in there. So this is really exciting that we've been able to do that. And like I said, we hope to work with a few more Amtrak stations to get additional posters in some of the smaller stations.
We took the train to Fort Worth not too long ago and spent the night and came back the next day. It was great.
Nice.
So you might want to add one there. It's a really nice station.
The Fort Worth one? Mhm, it's definitely on our list. I know it's a popular one.
Did you do it just for a trip, for a fun
For
trip?
fun, yeah, with another couple. It was really nice.
We're
Very
trying to
good.
encourage the opposite.
Yeah, we don't want people to leave
Don't go
Fort
away.
Worth, but I that's your thought process.
Very good.
Another thing that our destination marketing
I
team
think
has
I
been,
might have inspired it. She might have told me she was traveling to Fort Worth and I
Well, then
maybe
yeah,
started thinking.
I
how
probably
could we
didn't
get-
tell you about our trip. It was not inspiring.
No.
train really, really late.
On the way back, it was really
Yeah, it happens.
late.
So this is another effort that our destination marketing team is currently undertaking. We're working with local hotels and downtown businesses. And basically we're giving a list of like 4 or 5 print things. And we're like, okay, you can have a tent card or you can have the QR code sticker on the floor in your lobby. You can have some posters. And they check boxes and they send the forms back and then we give them the collateral. So it's something really new that we just started doing. But again, it's just building awareness around Temple and what all there is to do to Temple, specifically focusing on those points where people are commuting or traveling and trying to get them to stay longer and spend their money here in Temple.
Hey, Heather, when you
Yes, ma'am.
say, and then you give them the collateral, what do you mean? What does
So
that mean?
let's use Hilton Garden Inn as an
Okay.
example. I don't know if they have said, yes, they want to take on some stuff. I'm not sure, but I'm going to just use them as an
Sure.
example. So we'll email them or go visit them and say, hey, we have posters, we have tent cards, we have
And that's
various
what you mean
things.
by collateral?
Yes,
That's the
I'm
stuff.
sorry. Yes, the
Oh, okay,
stuff.
I got it, yeah.
So they tell us what stuff they want. They hang it themselves and they put it wherever they want. We've also worked with a few of them, and I'm not sure who, for key cards. So we'll do like little business card size printouts, and in people's key cards, we'll put Discover Temple stuff as well. This is another campaign that team is working on, a local regional awareness campaign. So these are little table banners. They're really cute in person. It's like a little mini version of the big tall ones. And so we worked with the Killeen Airport, are currently working with the Killeen Airport Bel Air RV Resort, just anywhere again where people are coming and going and traveling, and we want them to stay in Temple, or at least be aware of Temple and maybe come back another time. We're really trying hard to work with Buc-ee's and do something with Buc-ee's because they have the biggest travel corridor in our area, but it's been really challenging. So if you know anybody in Buc-ee's, point me in their direction. Okay, Tracy, I'm gonna talk to you after. Okay, good, because we have been trying for at least 2 years and not having much luck, so.
We have a good contact.
I would love that. Thank you. So the sports marketing strategy was presented to you guys not too long ago, but I just wanted to point this out that me and my team are now working on implementing some of the things that came from this. So we'll be working on a sports marketing plan and just, like I said, implementing those action items from that plan to increase sports tourism in Temple. And I'm not going to talk at all about the event strategy because you just heard Kyle give a really great presentation on it, but I will say the sports marketing strategy and the events strategic plan are both plans that I'm so glad that we have now, because there was such a need for that intentional direction and really making sure that we're taking the right steps to see success here in Temple. And so I'm excited to work on both of those plans and implement things from both of those plans. The Summer Passport Program is another destination marketing effort. They are working or have worked with local libraries and museums. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but I know Belton Public Library, Temple Public Library, Bell County Museum, Temple Children's Museum, and a few others are involved in this. And basically, so what destination marketing did, what our department did, was we developed a whole marketing plan for them, worked really closely with that committee of people from the various organizations. And then we even designed a passport. And so it's like a little business card size. It unfolds. It's really cute. And you can pick one up at any of those facilities. And it's a summer program. So if you're home with the kids for the summer, you take them to those various facilities, you can get a stamp. And if you get all of them stamped, you get, like, I think there's 5 or 6 different prizes that people can cash in their passports for. So that's a pretty cute program that, and I'm again proud of the collaboration that we had with our partners on that one. So upcoming things or things that are already in progress. So a Hometown Hero banner program. This is something that I'm really proud of for our community, and I cannot wait to see the banners up on the polls. But basically the idea for this program is to start out, I think it's 30 applications that we can take, but we're going to start promoting this in July for them to be displayed the whole month of November for Veterans Day. And I say 30 because we're going to start out in the Santa Fe Plaza, and I think there's about 30 right around there. If the program is really successful and we want to grow it, we can go down the Market Trail and do those pole banners as well. So this is kind of a mock-up of what the pole banner would look like. It would have our logo, Hometown Heroes, and then it would have the person's rank and their branch of service that they served with.
This is great.
Good.
I really like that.
Very good. I do too.
Awesome. I'm excited. I think it's gonna go over really well. So we're excited to work it. This, I kind of talked about it already. This is a photo taken with the Animal Services team and PD team at the groundbreaking for the Animal Adoption Center. And so coming up, we have the Animal Adoption Center groundbreaking, the FBO groundbreaking, probably beginning to middle of September, but that could always change with construction. And then the solid waste complex that is opening, their grand opening will be on June 28th for their ribbon cutting. The intranet is something that we're working on with people operations and IT. We have an employee intranet, but I don't think a lot of employees know what it is or how to use it unless you've been here for many, many years. So we're reimagining the intranet into an employee information portal, and hopefully it'll be somewhere as part of our internal communication strategy with Ambry. People will be able to hear about it more frequently through the newsletter and through our other various emails that we'll do to our staff. And they'll be more aware of this portal, and it'll be helpful for our people. This is the employee newsletter suggestion form. So how we built it was any city staff person can go online and enter in any employee newsletter ideas that they have. We also created a flyer with a QR code to be placed in various city departments or facilities. For people who don't have access to email, they can still scan the QR code and be taken to that form to send us any newsletter ideas. So this is something that I'm really, really excited about. It is called the Employee Welcome Packet. This was Bryn's vision. I have to give her all the credit for this. Several years ago, I remember her telling me that she wanted to do this and she would love to do a welcome packet. And so it's really, really cool that me and my team and people operations and all the others that are involved from Performance Excellence have been able to work together to create this really amazing thing. And so basically people will, on their first day of work, everybody goes to people operations. They don't go to their department. They go to people operations, they get their badge and they do a little bit of paperwork or whatnot. Right now, I think they get a few pieces of paper. I'm not sure, I don't even know. But this is what they will get in the future. And it has all the information that a new employee could possibly want to know, but it's very simplified. So there's a welcome letter from the city manager. So that way, no matter what level your position, you feel welcomed into the city. And it talks about our vision and our mission and our core values. And then there's information about the employee information portal. How do I clock in? Where are the different city facilities? And then like, when do I get paid and when do I get a paid holiday? So lots of different information in here, and I think it's going to be really successful. There's also a form on Employee Perks Program, which is a new program, and then the Wellness Program. Call chief. I was hoping that would be fun. Okay. Sorry, it's not done. So the other thing that we've been working on recently is a communication plan for the citizen survey. So the citizen survey was mailed out a week or so ago to the targeted households. And then on June 14th, the opt-in survey will be available online. So anybody can take that, and we're pushing that already. Just telling people to kind of get ready for that because we want as much feedback as possible. And that data is separate when it comes in. And then the citizen survey will close at the end of June. So we've been working on that communication. We've also developed this strategic plan engagement timeline working with Performance Excellence. And so kind of our thought, at least right now, is that to engage our community and solicit feedback for the strategic plan, we can have 4 town halls, 1 in each district, possibly even attend a few national night out locations and get some feedback that way on the strategic plan. But then also to have a citizen summit. And the citizen summit is a new idea this would be our first one that potentially we could do annually. But the idea is to have a place where a free community event where citizens can come and get information on various programs and services, because we do so much that people just don't know about. It's almost impossible to communicate to everybody in the city. But this would be a fun, family-friendly event where they could come and bring their kids after work, and there's bounce houses and maybe there's some food trucks and music in the background. But the focus is to let citizens know who you can call if you need something, if there's any issues, giving handouts, having various departments there, and Performance Excellence, soliciting feedback on the strategic plan this year. Okay, I have 2 more slides. I wanted to highlight that I will be presenting at ICMA. A few months ago, Bryn asked department heads to submit proposals to ICMA to speak at the conference in September. And I was one of the department heads that was chosen for this, so I feel very honored. The topic is building a consolidated communications department. And so I think that is a really important topic that a lot of people want to know more about. I did ask a couple colleagues of mine, one at City of Seabrook and one in City of San Angelo, that I know they have consolidated communications departments, to participate on a panel with me. So it'll be kind of a Q&A. We'll have a presentation and then we'll do a Q&A with the attendees of that session for ICMA. And then lastly, if you don't mind, I just wanted to let you know that I recently became a certified park and recreation professional, CPRP. I am not a park and recreation professional technically, but I do work very closely with them. And so I thought testing and getting that certification would be beneficial to me. And then on the bottom right is a photo of me at TCU. I'll be graduating this summer in late July with a certified public communicator certification through TCU, and that's a 2-year program through the college there in Fort Worth. So
Could
That is
ride
it.
the train.
I could ride the train.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's hard work.
Yeah.
And all that in 90 days?
Yeah, exactly. Most of it really was, I think. I should go back and look. Thank you all very much.
We get, I know I've said it before, but, your department's making an impact. I think it helps connect people to the city, than just being a place that they live. So, and that's important. That's what we strive to do. So congratulations. Good work.
Heather,
Yes, ma'am.
when you're doing job fairs, you talked about, one of your staff doing that.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you thought about working with Scott and White at all? I've just coincidentally had an opportunity in the past 6 or 7 months to get to know 2 spouses of residents at Scott and White. And both of them have stressed how difficult it is coming to, when they came to Temple, it's a 4-year program, their spouse is the resident, they never see the spouse again for 4 years. They don't know what to do and they want jobs and they don't know where to start.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Ambry has met with Baylor Scott and White, but that's definitely something we can pursue.
It was really interesting that 2 of them really stressed it. It must mean that there are plenty of spouses that feel that way.
I agree.
Ambry's worked with Fort Cavazos on a similar
Yes.
initiative, correct?
Yes,
For
For
spouses.
Fort Cavazos spouses. Mhm.
That's
This
something
would be
like
a
that
similar
could
kind of thing.
translate.
That's a good idea.
Anything else? Right, Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. So good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for allowing me to talk for a few minutes. And so I want to start with the numbers first and talk about our really busy year that we've had. So 22 was kind of a historic year for us. We saw the most runs and responses that we ever have in the department, and we're on track to keep that up this year. And so looking at 23, FY 23 so far this year, we are just short of 9,900 responses or incidents for the year. And that is actual calls for service. So, and you can see how it's broke down. Fire or EMS and rescue is definitely our highest category with right at 55%. Hazardous conditions 406, the service calls at 1245, good intents, which are your false. Typically, it's like a alarm going off or something like that. People have a good intention, or cell phones. Folks call in and say, "Hey, I see a wreck," and it's really not a wreck when we get there. So, 1898, almost 1900 false calls, and these are mostly fire alarm false calls or other types of alarms. Then just your other related to weather and other stuff, and then of course the fire right at 3% of our calls, or 238 for the year. So. And so we are on track for another 350 plus year fires. So when we look at our responses for the year, and I just want to take a second to remind you that there's a difference between incidents and responses. So each incident is the actual call for service. And so if you call in a house on fire, you are going to get 6 different fire vehicles for that, and that counts as 6 responses. So each vehicle gets a response in that. And so that's why you'll see the response number is so much higher than the actual incident number. So for responses, we've had 11,797, and that is hot off the presses, including May. I literally just finished that up about 20 minutes before the meeting. So Station 1 continues to be by far our busiest station with 3,200 responses, almost 3,300 responses. Station 3 is second, and these are our historically busiest stations with around 2,500. Station 4 is next, almost 1,600. Then 2 and 5 kind of switch back and forth from time to time. Station 7 right at 853. then 6 next up with 596, and then finally Station 8 with 399. And one thing we've noticed over the last few years is Station 7's run numbers are starting to go up quite a bit. When I first got here back in 14, their monthly numbers were right around what Station 8's were, around 40 to 50 a month, and they're now averaging over 100 calls a month or responses a month. And so again, they are really starting to get busier out there as that area develops. So talk a little bit about fires. People always say, well, what are the fire breakdowns? Because you'll see we had 27 this month. 7 of those were building fires, 5 cooking fires, 4 vehicle fires, 2 brush fires, 7 dumpster or trash fires, and then 2 that were classified as others. So it could have just been some generic thing that was burning for some reason or another. I can't tell you exactly what that is. So, but last year was, again, a record year for fires, 466 fires. You can see we've got 238 so far this year, and we're like I say, we're well on our way to over 350 for the year. The big thing that you can see, the big difference is in our grass fires, grass and brush fires. Luckily, we've gotten some rain. It's been a fairly wet spring, and so that's really brought our brush and grass fires down. It looks like the wet weather is going to continue for a little bit longer, and so hopefully we'll keep those down and not have as busy a year as we had last year. So again, let's talk about historically busy and some records. We had 5 of the busiest days for the fire department that we've ever had in our history of all the records I could find. And that February 2nd day with the 178 calls and 237 responses, what is our current record day? That's the most responses we've ever made in a single day. And of that, it did include 5 structure fires. And they were fairly complex structure fires because of the ice storm. That was during the ice storm. And a couple of buildings were actually, as the power lines fell, it energized the steel or aluminum siding on the building. And so we couldn't spray water on it. And that's difficult when your primary way of fighting fire is water. And so it made for a really long day or long calls and waiting on Encore to get there and shut the power off so we could safely extinguish the fire. And the little chart over to the side, we asked Bell County to run a record of the responses made by all area departments during the ice storm, and this was during the 5-day ice storm. And you can see that Temple FD and Temple PD were far and away the biggest response group there. The city of Temple really got clobbered by the ice storm. And a couple of days afterwards, I called up to the National Weather Service and was talking with them. And I was like, okay, so why did we get it so bad? Because we were not predicted to have that. So why did we get it so bad? And why did everybody else not get it as bad as we did? And basically it was 2 degrees Fahrenheit. We were 2 degrees colder in the city than everywhere else. And that's why we got basically 3/4 of an inch of ice. And this is right outside of Central Station. I took that picture and measured that ice. Like I said, we had about 3/4 of an inch of ice on the trees and power lines. And that's why we had all the problems we had back in February.
So it was just a 2-degree difference.
2 degrees. We were 2 degrees colder than everyone else. If we'd have been up there with everybody else, we'd have probably been just like them, which is that was a prediction. So it was just,
And when you say everyone else, you're talking about like Belton and around, right around.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah. So here is Belton Fire and Belton PD. You can see how few they ran. So yeah, it was just centered right around Temple. Probably next closest would have been Troy, which was right up here at the very top. And you can see how much fewer they ran than we did. So again, just 2 degrees difference made a huge difference that week for us. And particularly that one day, that February 2nd. We really didn't have much going that day until about 2 or 3 in the morning is when it really took off on us. So, all right. So talking about some of our progress with the business plan, several of these projects are well underway or completed. A few of them I do want to point out. I don't want to talk about all, but a few I do want to point out. 2 issues we have are our ladder truck for Station 6. It's been on order for a little bit over 1.5 years now. I did get notification it is finally under construction, and so we're looking at doing our acceptance inspection of it in August or September. And so probably we'll see the truck here and actually out on the streets running probably right after the first of the year if they stay on schedule with that. That truck's been delayed. We've been waiting on axles for it. So the actual axles for the truck were what was holding it up. The next one, the new fire engine, it's been pre-ordered. It is the one that's for this year. When we ordered the ladder truck, we had an 18 to 22 month delivery time frame. The engine was 24 to 36 months, and the new time frame that they've given me is 28 to 38 months to get a fire truck, which is crazy. We used to be able to get a engine in about 6 months and a ladder truck in about 9. And so it's a problem for everybody. Everybody in the country is having the same problems, and like I said, we're all trying to struggle through them. So we did have a UTV project we worked on, and so this is some pictures of it. This UTV has got a lot of capabilities in it. Obviously, it's full-wheel drive, got a very heavy payload capacity. This is a new feature for it that we just had built. Where it can actually carry an ambulance cot on it. So when we're at the special events like the air show or Blooming Temple or any of the other events, we do stand by at all the runs. So like any of the 5Ks, the 10Ks, we do standbys for them, and we take the UTVs to those. We can actually load the patient on that, get them all ready for transport, pull up to the street where the ambulance is, and just switch cots with them. We don't have to take them off of one cot, put them on another. We literally just switch cots and they go to the hospital with them. So it really helps out the patient in our ability to get them to the hospital in a quick fashion. We can also pull that out of there. 4 bolts holds it in, and we can pull it out. We can put a firefighting unit in it. And so if we do get a lot of grass and brush fires, we can do that. Or it will actually fold up. It's a 5-seater, and so we can get several folks in there for transporting people around events as well. So multifaceted capabilities on it, and it's been working out really good for us. We've got a new records management project that's going. We just selected our vendor, and they are starting to work on our new record management system. And it's called First Due, and we're really excited to be getting that. We're hoping to have it up and running this fall. Our station alerting project, we're in some final RFP discussions with the vendors, and hopefully we'll be selecting a vendor for that here in the next month or two. And then training center projects, we've got all of our burn props for inside the training tower completed. They finished those up right around the 1st of May. And then we're working on our outdoor training area now. We've got to move some stuff out there so that we can do the driving pad later this fall. And we're working on an outdoor training area. And one of those is going to be an outdoor burn prop that's going to simulate a flammable liquid spill. It's going to be 400 square foot. So it's a really large 20 by 20, if you can imagine. Basically pit that we can set on fire and control very easily. So anyway, looking forward to all of those coming.
Are you gonna have a ribbon cutting?
I don't know if we're going to do it on those or not. We might for the driving pad. I don't know about the burn props. So can you play this video? This is a video we've got of the burn props actually in. So that gives us capability of simulating a lot of different issues or circumstances that we'd run into in fires. We originally, when we originally built the tower, we built 2 rooms and they had 3 props in them. We now have 9 rooms available and over 14 props that are available in there. And there's also a couple of them are where we can switch them out. the covering over it and make it into a different type of prop. And so we have that capability as well. And so some really great training capabilities that we added to the training tower. We're really happy to get those. And if you ever get a chance to go in there, it is extraordinarily real, especially when we turn the smoke on and get the building all smoked up and stuff. And then we hit the fire, it gets really hot and really smoky in there really quick. And so it can be scary. I mean, it's one of those where if you haven't done it before, especially with some of our new cadets, they're not wanting to go in the room with the prop going. So, but it's a really great training aids, and we really appreciate you guys' support. All right, so we had a hazmat response back at the 1st of May, and I just kind of want to point out some new capabilities that we got within the department. We've got an area array. It's a bunch of area monitors that will let us monitor for hazardous materials, hazardous gases, and what have you. So we had a gas leak, had a utility contractor hit a gas main. It was a 2-inch main, 50 PSI. And when we first got there, we always do basically a map of, hey, where were we going to need to evacuate and where's the danger zones? And so the software that we've got, it came up with this drawing. And so the orange area here is an immediate evacuation required. The next one is we need to monitor, and then this one is one we need to be prepared for and monitor. However, because we had this area array, we're able to get it out there, and you can see where we placed them. It's the little Pac-Man kind of critters there. We put those monitors out there, and we're able to go out and actually get on-site readings of it. And we didn't have to evacuate all of that area because we were able to get actual live data monitoring. We were able to just evacuate right in here, and I think we only had one person at home at that time, so we only had to evacuate one home. But with those live readings and stuff, we were able to limit that evacuation area down and the impact on our citizens because of that new equipment. Now, one of the really interesting things as well is with the new equipment, we are able to actually monitor this anywhere. So as long as you have an internet connection, you can monitor that. So I could be wherever and be watching this live on my computer. And so it works out really well. We've used it at a few events. We used it at Bloom, and I think they put it up at the air show. And then, of course, we used it live for this one, and it's working out very well for us. So it's a really great thing.
Wait, how do you use it at Blooming?
So we put the atmospheric monitors out at different locations and monitor the atmosphere to make sure that nothing bad's going on anywhere. So they're a small black Pelican box, or maybe this tall by this big, got an antenna sticking out of it. Typically we padlock them to like a light post or something up above the crowd. Nobody normally sees them. And yeah, so they're out there. Well, and then at night we'll take them down and charge them, and then we'll go put them back the next day.
It monitors the wind speeds and direction?
Yep. It's got a full weather station on it. And that's how we were able to get this, because the wind was actually blowing this way. And so, yeah, we have full weather capabilities and everything.
Interesting.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so some fire investigations. Like I said, we've been very busy. So we've had 48 fires investigated. Of those 48, 36 were unintentional or accidental. 12 were intentional or questionable, what we say is questionable. We have currently 5 open investigations, which 5 active investigations. 3 cases we have filed with the district attorney right now. We're just waiting on them to give us the thumbs up on charges, and then the fire marshals will go and pick that individual up. And then we've actually made 4 arrests, and I think 3 of those have been adjudicated either with plea bargains or an actual trial. And anyway, and all 4 were successful. I'm sorry, 3 of those were successful. So again, fire marshal's office doing a lot of great stuff. Inspection wise, they've been very busy. 414 inspections completed, 217 fire permits, 110 building plan reviews, 87 DRC cases, 31 food trucks, and just shy of $28,000 in inspection fees. So departmental training, we obviously do a lot of training. That takes up at least 2 to 3 hours of our day each day. And so just a bunch of different training scenarios there. One of the things I like to point out always is you can see we're on a tour up here, and I can't remember where they're at there, but we try to go through a tour of most of our major facilities, manufacturing or industrial facilities at least every other year so that we can keep current with what's going on there. You never want the first time you're in a building to be when it's on fire. And so that's why we try to go through those. And all of our industries are very accommodating and really like seeing the crews come out and go through. Several different events. The three pictures here on the bottom are all from Leadership Temple. So we do a little relay race now, that kind of a team building thing where they actually get to put the fire out down there and spray some water. Then of course the rappelling is another popular thing that they always get to do. Made a few presentations there at the fire station. And then of course, this is our new hire testing up here. Had a little bit over 120 folks new hire test our last time. I think we've got 70 that were on the list. We're about 30 people through that now. And so we've been very fortunate. We have not had a lot of openings, and any openings we have had, we've been able to fill. So we are currently right now at 100% staffing. And so again, we've been very fortunate in the last several years not to have a real struggle with staffing.
Chief, is that the same amongst other cities in the area too?
So no, so Colleen is having a problem. Belton, I think Belton staff, Harker Heights off and on with staffing. And then some of the other bigger departments like Georgetown, Round Rock are having trouble getting folks as well. So
Why is that?
I think there's a combination of things. I think part of it's because they have ambulances where their firefighters have to ride the ambulances, and that is a big bonus for us, is that our guys don't. We still do ambulance calls and still work as paramedics, but we're not actually transporting the people in the ambulance. They get the right fire trucks, and that's what firefighters want to do. They want to ride fire trucks, and so I think that helps us out a lot. But I think also we've got just a good group of folks. They talk a lot to the people that are out there. We've got a lot of good programs going on. And so I think there's a lot of word of mouth that goes on too.
Temple's a good place to be.
I think so.
Good.
And I think I'll never miss a chance to say thank you for your support of the compensation, because I think the competitive compensation helped us keep ahead of the curve in a way we weren't able to in the.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for saying that. All right. So just some events that we did here. So the two pictures over here on the right, we helped out Wes with West Burger Shack on Thanksgiving. He always does a big Thanksgiving lunch for folks that otherwise wouldn't get a Thanksgiving meal. And so fire department crews went and helped with that. And it was a really, really fun day of helping folks and feeding folks that day. We've got some collections for Rescue Elves. And then this up here was a crew after we had shopped for all of our Rescue Elves kids from last year. And then of course, this is a crew. We had a breakfast at the fire station for all public safety, police, fire, EMS, and on 9/11 last year. And so again, it was a lot of events, and we always love participating in those. Okay, so next up, let's talk about April 28th. And so that was Tornado Day or Storm Day. And so I've been asked by several people, so how close were we to actually having a tornado in Temple? Well, this is how close we were. So the very first radar scan, and this is actually a live radar scan that I took a picture of. You can see here this little hook here. That's called a hook echo on radar. That is actually a tornado starting to form and the rotation in the clouds. And you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see the picture down here, but that's Temple. This was over Fort Hood. Well, the way Doppler radar works and the radar system works is the dish spins. It takes about 3 to 4 minutes to go around in a circle and come back around. This is the next trip around. And you can see here that now I've got a very tight circle and even a kind of a little donut hole there. That is telling me that a tornado has formed. So there is actually a tornado, and that was actually confirmed a couple of days later by National Weather Service on Fort Hood. And now you can clearly see it is headed straight for Temple. And I think that was when we sounded the sirens the second time that day. But that's how close we were. And then I got some pictures from some folks that sent them in. This is behind North Belton Middle School. I think this one's kind of out in that area as well. And then this one's in one of the neighborhoods out west. That's the rotating wall cloud that you're actually seeing on the radar. And so that's how close we were to actually having a tornado in Temple. It went from virtually nothing to developing the tornado. It was fairly a short track tornado. It was an EF1 is what the National Weather Service rated it. and then it quickly dissipated as well. But it did keep rotating and moving through. And some people said, well, it wasn't that like a double wall cloud, and it's actually just one big rotating mass there. So it could have been a very large tornado if it actually got some more energy, and it just didn't, thank goodness.
The blue color on the left-hand side versus the lighter color on the right-hand side? Is that just a picture of the storm clouds?
So I think that this is just kind of angle to it, but this is in tornadic storms. You often hear about them talk about a blue or green sky, and that's what this is. So that's what you'll see when there's actually tornadic activity around, typically, is that color of cloud.
Great picture.
So can't tell you why, but that's one of the things I hear that's very common, a blue or green cloud. So yes, absolutely. Folks did a great job capturing it. And like I said, that's how close we were. We were very close. We were just a few minutes from having a tornado. So always love to brag on some of my folks. And so this is where I get to. And so these two pictures, Landy Setzer and Ronnie Salter, both graduated back a few months ago from the Texas Fire Chiefs Academy. I actually have two others, Kirby Bush and Mark Ingleke, graduating from that same academy next week. And so we'll be up getting their pictures and you next time. This is Dustin McGraw. He won last year's Firefighter of the Year for the Exchange Club. Jonathan Quigley over here won the Daughters of the American Revolution Distinguished Citizen Award, and just a great guy, longtime military person that came to us and a really great asset. He's also been our instructor of the academy or of the year for the Fire Academy for the last 3 years straight, and that's voted on by the students. That's our last Fire Academy, all showing us their certificates that they got. Jesse Huber here getting the American Legion Firefighter of the Year award. And then these two pictures is probably, I'm just so proud of Ray. She's done so much with us since she's gotten here. But Ray Cole, she is one of our firefighters on Sea Ship. This is her. She was graduating from paramedic class and got her paramedic license. She was also the class valedictorian. And so we were happy to have that happen. This is her getting the VFW Paramedic of the Year award last year. And then she also won the fire department's Firefighter of the Year award, and it was her second year straight. And talked to folks back as far as I could find, and no one remembers anyone winning 2 years in a row. So not only do they have to get nominated by their peers, but they also get voted on by their peers. And she's gotten nominated and voted in as Firefighter of the Year 2 years running. So she does a lot of great work for us, and we're thrilled to have her. Fire Academy just started back up about a month or two ago, going on. Again, great group of folks going through there. We have 3 employees in the academy right now, and then I think we've got 12 that are not employees. They are just people that have came to our academy to get their firefighter training. Want to talk a little bit about our public education, and the one program I really want to highlight is our car seats. I think I may have talked about this last September, and what was happening was everybody was dropping out of the free car seat program that the state puts on in the area, and that did happen. We are now down. We are the only entity, Temple Fire Rescue is the only entity in both Bell and McLennan County that gives away free car seats. And that is, I mean, I think that's a great thing that we do, and it's a great program, but the paperwork and the kind of hoops you got to hop through has gotten very, very hard, and my folks still managed to get through it so we can give those out. You can see here we had a large event where we were doing a training and a large giveaway. And so these are all car seats that we're getting ready to put in, and this is all the folks back there getting them put in. I think we've got 5 car seat technicians right now, and then we trained that time. I think it was another 18 went through the class. Now, keep in mind, these folks, when they go through this, it's not like you walk in, you sit there for 3 or 4 hours, learn how to put a car seat in. The car seat technician class is 40 hours. It is 5 full days. And I'm not talking about, hey, you walk in and you kind of do a few things and then go home. It is 5 long 8-hour days. They really run you through the mill on putting these car seats in. But again, our folks do a fantastic job. Very proud of them. We give out a lot of car seats, and especially now we give out a lot of free car seats and that we get, or I guess I say donated, but given to us by the state. And we're able to get those out to folks that really need those. And so again, I think it's a great program. I'm glad we're able to still do it.
All over the county, people can come from anywhere.
That's correct. We don't check residency. They come in, we help them out.
Good.
All right, so Smokey, got to brag on Smokey a little bit. He's obviously getting pretty big. This is him. He just graduated about 2 weeks ago from his Good Dog Academy. And so he is doing a really good work, and he will be getting started on his therapy dog training here in the next week or two. He has been accepted into that. And of course, he is very popular with kids and adults and everybody really. He's just been a real asset to the public education department since he's gotten here. And probably his worst thing for him is when he comes and visits me. I'm kind of the bad influence for him in the fire department. So I let him get away with a lot. So he's my buddy though. So we have a good time with him. But anyway, he's getting big and he's really progressing along and being a real asset to the department. Junior Fire Cadet starts Monday. And so we'll have our first class on starting Monday. It'll run for 2 weeks and the second class starts. And so again, another great program. When we opened up our applications for this, it filled in, I think they said 12, it was 22 hours, I think it was, and we were full. That was 120 students plus a few. I think we did like 4 or 5 extras just to get everybody in. And we do have a waiting list for it as well. But again, very popular program, continues to be great, and the kids and folks love it. So a few events coming up. So Junior Fire Cadet graduation on Friday, the 30th up at the CAC. We'd love to have you all there if you would like to attend. I know Mayor's coming to speak. And so it's always a good time. It's great to celebrate the cadets and everything that they've done. They really learn a lot and get a lot of experiences I think is good for them. The parents really enjoy watching them graduate. We've got our 9/11 Remembrance Ceremony. That is on Monday, September 11th. It'll be at 9:45 to 9:15 there at Central Station. Again, obviously love to have you all come and attend. And then finally, our Fire Safety Day, October 14th, 10 to 1 at the fire station. And again, love to have everybody come out and attend with us. So that's all I got for today. So questions?
What's the time on September 11th?
8:45 to 9:15.
Very good. Council, anything else? That's a lot. Thanks, Chief.
Yes, sir.
All right. Next item is to receive and discuss a briefing regarding potential real property acquisitions or sales. Pursuant to the Texas Government Code Section 551.072, council may meet in closed session to discuss or deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if deliberation in an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the position of the governmental body in negotiation with the third person. No final action will be taken. So at this time, I'll adjourn the workshop. It is 4:16, and I'll convene the meeting of the Temple City